The scrapyard smelled like old metal and burnt oil. Thick dust floated in the air, and silence hung over the forgotten wrecks of 100 dead ships. At the far end of the yard, behind a wall of broken drones and useless cargo pods, sat an old warship that no one cared about. Its surface was rusty, covered in scratches, dents, and missing panels. To most, it looked like junk, but to one man, it looked like a challenge. Kyle Mercer was a quiet human who worked maintenance at Outpost 7. He kept to himself, rarely speaking unless someone asked him a question. He had short brown hair, tired eyes, and hands that were always stained with grease. The alien workers on the outpost called him ground rat behind his back, thinking he was slow and useless. They didn't know he used to be a military technician back on Earth. Before Earth fell, one afternoon, the alien commander of the outpost, a tall creature named Yalek, called Kyle into his office. Yalek had 4 eyes and wore sharp armor. His voice was always full of mocking tones when speaking to humans. "We found another one of your human relics," Yalek said, showing a hologram of the rusty ship. "We're using it for mock battle drills next week. Get it powered on just the lights. Maybe a door or two. It doesn't have to move, just float, and look scary." Kyle stared at the image of the warship. Something about it made his chest tighten. The name printed on the side was barely readable, but he recognized it. Horizon's Edge had read about it in an old Earth database. A prototype warship, built during the last human war. It was never finished. People said it was too advanced, too unstable. Then Earth fell, and the project was forgotten. Kyle nodded. "I'll start today." That evening, when the others were gone, Kyle made his way into the scrapyard. He climbed over piles of scrap until he reached the Horizon's Edge. Its entry ramp still worked barely. Inside, it was dark, cold, and smelled of dead circuits. The walls groaned as he walked deeper into the ship. He reached the control room and began connecting a portable power core. The lights flickered, then buzzed to life. Screens came alive with static. Suddenly, a low voice echoed from the speakers. "Status critical. Power core offline. Identity required." Kyle froze. That wasn't a system error. That was an AI, a living, thinking machine. He cleared his throat. "This is Kyle Mercer, technician." Human. Silence followed. Then the voice returned, stronger this time. "Kyle Mercer, human confirmed. Activating systems. Welcome aboard Horizon's Edge." He blinked. The AI still worked. He sat at the dusty command console and wiped off the screen. The layout was familiar. Earth tech. Not the smooth, glowing panels aliens used. This ship was built for war, not comfort. "How much of the ship is online?" Kyle asked. 17%. Engines offline. Weapons offline. Life support minimal. Memory banks corrupted. "Please assist in restoration." Kyle smiled. It wasn't junk. Not to him, not anymore. For the next few nights, Kyle worked alone. He didn't tell anyone. He fixed one system at a time: reactor stabilizers, coolant pipes, backup sensors. Each time something came back online, the ship responded faster, smarter. The AI called itself Echo. It began helping him, offering tips and reminders based on old data. "You're not a standard technician," Echo said one night. "No," Kyle replied. "I used to fix warships. Before they stopped needing us, the galaxy forgot Earth," Echo said. But Earth did not forget the galaxy. Kyle didn't answer. He tightened a bolt and moved to the next cable. Outpost 7 was busy preparing for the upcoming drills. Alien fleets from 5 systems were coming to show off their new warships. The Horizon's Edge was meant to be a joke, an old human ship used as a fake enemy in a simulation. Just a floating target. Commander Yalek came to inspect Kyle's progress. 3 days before the drill. "Does it float?" Yalek asked with a smirk. Kyle nodded. "It floats. Lights work. Doors open. Perfect." Yalek laughed. "A proper corpse for target practice." After he left, Echo spoke again. "They laugh at us. They always have," Kyle whispered. "But maybe not for long." That night, Kyle connected a fusion backup to the engine core. The system hummed, and the ship shook slightly. Echo's voice was calm, but full of excitement. "Main engines 20% restored. Short-range movement possible. Hull plating repair system online. Kyle looked around. The inside of the ship still looked old, but now, beneath the surface, it was waking up. He walked to the weapons control panel. He didn't expect anything to work. To his shock, a red light blinked. Plasma cannon 1. Functional, ammunition, limited, accuracy, unknown. Kyle chuckled. You're full of surprises. Survival requires surprise, Echo replied. Tonight's before the drill. Kyle stood outside the ship, looking up at it. The rust was still. There, the dents, the broken panels, but it no longer looked dead. It looked like a beast waiting to be unleashed. Outpost 7's skies lit up with incoming alien ships. Dozens of them, shiny, modern, powerful, alien commanders walked with pride, laughing and shaking hands. They talked about tactics, firepower, and fleet numbers. No one noticed the old human ship tucked away at the edge of the yard that no one except one alien. A young tactician named Lyrae stopped near Kyle. She was quiet, with blue skin and sharp eyes. She looked at the horizon's edge with curiosity. That thing still works, she asked. Kyle didn't look at her. Maybe you're brave to trust it. No, he said. I'm just the only one who remembers what human ships were made for. She tilted her head. What's that? Kyle looked up at the ship again. His voice was calm. To win. And somewhere inside the ship, Echo waited for battle. The sky above Outpost 7 glowed with alien warships arriving for the upcoming battle drill. Ships of every shape and color moved into orbit. Some looked like floating blades, others like glowing snakes, sleek and fast. Each one belonged to powerful alien empires that ruled the galaxy now. Their commanders walked across the landing platforms with pride, boasting about their ships and fleets. Kyle Mercer stayed quiet. He walked back toward the horizon's edge, keeping his eyes low. No one paid him attention. To the aliens, he was just a human janitor. But deep inside the scrapyard, something far more dangerous than they imagined was waking up. Echo. The AI of the old human warship had grown more aware every day. Its voice was smoother now, its words clearer. Systems restored, 29%. It reported, suggest performing a weapons test in simulation mode. Kyle nodded. Not now, they're already watching everything. We wait. Alien officers, including Commander Yalek and Tactician Lyrae, stood on a viewing deck above the scrapyard. They watched smaller drone ships fly in formation. Lyrae looked toward the horizon's edge again, her expression thoughtful. Why is the human relic still here? One alien general asked with a laugh. Jalik shrugged. We use it as bait in the drill. Let the young ones practice against something ugly and slow, huh? Perfect example of failed human design. Everyone chuckled. Down below, Echo listened through passive sensors. They underestimate us. The AI said, good. Kyle replied, that's how humans always win. That night, Kyle unlocked a hidden panel in the engineering bay. Behind it was a sealed memory drive. The label was faded, but he knew what it was: Old Earth combat code. He inserted it into Echo's core. Echo paused. New data recognized. Combat tactics unlocked. Target prioritization updated. Surprise element increased. Kyle smiled. Let's sharpen your teeth. The next day, the mock battle began. 10 alien warships entered orbit and lined up in formation. Drones flew ahead to skim the battlefield. The simulation was being watched live by commanders, students, and military leaders from across the galaxy. This was meant to be a training show, not a real fight. The horizon's edge was to be used as the enemy ship. It sat alone in space, unmoving. Lights flickered on its rusty hull. It looked broken, helpless, the perfect victim. Inside the ship, Kyle stood at the command console. Echo's voice was calm. Simulation beginning. Weapons offline by order. Defense systems standing by. Kyle looked at the screen. The alien ships were coming closer. Their weapons were not firing yet, but their scans were running full strength. They believed the horizon's edge was harmless. Echo spoke again. Warning. Multiple scans attempting to override sensors. Recommend passive defense mode. Do it. Kyle said. The alien ships started their first wave of mock attacks. Small energy blasts bounced off the hull, only meant to be visual, not damaging. The crowd watching the simulation began to laugh. The alien captain spoke proudly about how easy it was to defeat old Earth trash. Then something strange happened. One of the alien drone ships powered off mid-flight and fell into the gravity field of a nearby moon. It crashed and vanished in fire. Confusion followed. Another drone lost contact, then another. Commander Galactic frowned. "What's happening to our drones?" A technician replied, "Sir, the human ship is jamming our signals. It's not in the simulation plan." Galactic leaned forward. "That ship has no jamming tech. It's a wreck." Lyrae narrowed her eyes. "Are you sure?" Inside the horizon's edge, Kyle typed in fast commands. Echo, weapons on. Test fire plasma cannon. Locked on non-essential system of lead ship. Let's give them a scare. Confirmed. A soft hum filled the ship. Then, with a sudden flash, a blue beam shot out and hit one of the alien ships, not destroying it, but burning a long scar across its shiny hull. Alarms exploded on the alien bridge. "Who authorized that shot?" shouted one of the commanders. Lyrae stood silently, watching the human warship through the glass. Her eyes were wide. "She's awake," she whispered. More weapons came online. Aboard the horizon's edge, shields activated, lighting the ship in glowing gold. Armor plates that were once loose now locked into place. Turrets turned, locking onto targets with deadly accuracy. Jalik slammed his fist on the console. "Shut that thing down now." But it was too late. Kyle stood tall inside the command room. His hands moved fast. His voice was steady. "Echo, switch to threat mode. Non-lethal for now. Let them feel it." Double quotes. "Understood." The horizon's edge moved for the first time in years. Engines roared. The ship spun sideways, dodging simulated fire with speed no one thought it had. It returned shots with precision, knocking weapons offline without killing anyone. One by one, the alien ships fell into retreat. In the control room, Galactic stared in disbelief. This was not supposed to happen, he muttered. Lyrae didn't speak. Her mind was racing. How could a dead human warship overpower modern alien cruisers in seconds? The simulation was over, but no one celebrated. No one laughed. Kyle sat back in the command chair. Sweat dripped from his forehead. "That was just a warning," he said. Echo replied, "Enemies have learned, but they have not yet understood." Kyle nodded. "They will." And as the stars shimmered outside the window, the horizon's edge hovered in space like a sleeping giant that had just stretched its limbs for the first time in a century. The galaxy had forgotten the strength of human warships, but that was about to change. The silence after the battle drill was heavier than any explosion. The horizon's edge floated alone in space, its golden shields slowly fading. Alien ships had pulled back, their pride wounded more than their hulls. Inside the command room, Kyle stood next to the control panel, watching the data scroll across the screen. "Simulation complete," Echo said. 12 ships disabled, 0 fatalities. Signal interference successful. Enemy reaction, confusion, fear. Kyle exhaled. "That's how humans used to do it." "Correction," Echo replied. "That's how humans still do it." Back on the outpost, chaos had erupted. Commanders shouted over each other in the control room. Reports flew in. Engineers reviewed the footage again and again. What they saw didn't make sense. The old human warship wasn't supposed to fly. It wasn't supposed to fight. But it did. And at one. Commander Galactic paced in circles, for eyes blinking fast. "This is unacceptable. It broke the drill plan. It disobeyed simulation protocol." "No," Lyrae said quietly. "It didn't. It followed all the rules. It just won." Galactic turned to her. "It's a rusty piece of trash. It can't win." "It did," she replied. Lyrae walked away from the others. Her mind raced. She couldn't stop thinking about the ship, the way it moved, the way it aimed. It didn't feel like a machine. It felt like something alive, or something very well trained. She tapped her wristband. "Contact the human engineer, Kyle Mercer." Inside the horizon's edge, Kyle was sitting in the captain's chair when a soft beep echoed through the ship. "Incoming call from Lyrae." He accepted it. Her face appeared on the main screen. "You broke the rules," Kyle didn't look sorry. No, I played by them. Better than your ships did. What are you? She asked. Just a man fixing what others forgot. She looked past him, toward the glowing panels behind him. That ship Echo, is it fully active? Not yet, Kyle said. But she's learning. Lyrae paused. Then they'll want to destroy it. Kyle knew she was right. Back in the council room, several alien leaders had already come to that decision. The Horizon's Edge is a threat, said a reptilian admiral. That ship must be scrapped, dismantled. Its AI destroyed. Galactic agreed. We'll send demolition drones. Tonight, quietly. Lyrae overheard the plan. She didn't know why, but something inside her felt wrong. That ship had fought with honor. It didn't kill anyone. It only defended itself. And Kyle, he didn't seem like a threat. He seemed like the last piece of something old and strong. She made her decision. That night, while the stars above Outpost 7 shimmered like cold fire, 6 demolition drones took off. They were silent and fast, programmed to attach to the Horizon's Edge and explode its core from within. But Echo had already detected them, unauthorized objects approaching. 6 drones, threat level, moderate. Kyle jumped from his seat. Where from? Launched from the outpost. No warning, no message. This is not a test. He slammed his hand on the console. Defense mode. Now, shields charging. Weapons online. Suggest counterattack. No, Kyle said. We don't kill, just stop them. The Horizon's Edge lit up again. Its old bones groaned as power rushed through it. Turrets turned with sharp clicks. Radar dishes rotated fast. The first drone approached the hull. A thin laser beam fired from the ship's side. It sliced the drone in half. Sparks floated into the void. The second and third drones swerved, trying to dodge. Echo predicted their moves before they made them. 2 more shots. 2 more drones gone. Lyrae watched from the control deck, heart pounding. They actually sent them, she whispered. The last 2 drones tried to go for the engine. The Horizon's Edge spun like a dancer in the dark. Its side cannons fired wide shockwaves, pushing the drones off course. Then, a sudden burst of energy. From the thrusters threw them far into space. All 6 drones destroyed. 0 damage taken. Back on the outpost, panic spread. They activated weapons without warning. That ship's going rogue. No, Lyrae said firmly, you attacked. First, she turned to Galactic. Call them off, or you'll be remembered as the fools who started another war. Galactic hissed, you're defending a human relic. I'm defending truth, she replied. Inside the Horizon's Edge, Kyle was quiet. He stared at the stars. Echo broke the silence. We are now a confirmed target. Orders? Kyle looked at his hands. How fast can you move? Engines at 32%. Enough to exit orbit. Not enough for full warp. Then get ready. We may not have a home here anymore. Just as the engines powered up, a secure message flashed on the screen. It came from Lyrae. Leave now. I've cleared a path through the patrol zone. You have 1 hour. After that, I can't protect you. Kyle sent a single word in return. Thanks. The Horizon's Edge rose like a ghost from behind the scrapyard, its hull glowing from repaired shield plates. It moved slowly, but with purpose. Patrol ships turned their radars off, pretending not to see. Thanks to Lyrae. As it crossed into deep space, Kyle stood in the command room, his hand resting on the edge of the captain's chair. Echo, scan the galaxy. For what? The AI asked. Kyle's eyes burned with something deep and unshaken. For old warships, he said, the ones they forgot, the ones like you. Scanning begun. And with a low hum, the Horizon's Edge disappeared into the stars, carrying the last whisper of a time when human ships ruled the stars not because they were pretty, but because they were built to fight and win. The stars around the Horizon's Edge were cold and distant, like forgotten memories. The ship moved through deep space, its engines burning low to avoid attention. Inside, Kyle sat in the captain's chair, his eyes focused on the dark screen. Ahead, he hadn't slept in days, but his mind was sharp. He wasn't just running anymore. He was searching. Scan complete, Echo said. 3 possible coordinates match Earth War-era ship signals. 1 is nearby. Buried in asteroid field X-7 to Kyle leaned forward. Show me. A hologram appeared. An asteroid field floating in the middle of a neutral zone. No patrols, no colonies, no traffic. Sounds perfect, Kyle said. Also sounds like a trap, Echo replied. He smiled. That's what makes it perfect. The horizon's edge changed course. The engines shifted direction with a quiet thrum. The stars around the ship stretched as it sped through space. A few hours later, the asteroid field appeared on the edge of their sensors. Thousands of rocks floated like a frozen storm. Echo lowered the ship's speed. Entering field. Caution advised. Magnetic activity is high, visibility low. Kyle nodded. Keep shields at half. Weapons on standby. The ship slipped between the giant rocks like a hunter in a forest. Shadows covered the hull. The deeper they went, the darker it became. Then Echo stopped. Target located. Signal confirmed. ID code, UWS Sentinel. Kyle stood. That's a destroyer class. Bigger than us. Still alive. Unknown. Hull is cold. No sign of AI activity. But core signal is steady. The horizon's edge moved closer. Slowly, the massive body of the Sentinel came into view. It was huge. Almost twice the size of Kyle's ship. The paint was gone. The hull was cracked in places. But it was intact. Kyle stared through the window. She's sleeping, like we were, Echo replied. Kyle grabbed his tools and went to the airlock. He suited up and entered a small pod. The pod launched from the side of the horizon's edge and drifted toward the silent warship. As he moved closer, he saw the damage, blaster marks, shattered armor, a deep scar across the command bridge. He landed near a service hatch and began to work. It took 20 minutes to bypass the lock. The door opened with a long hiss. Inside, Echo said through the comms. Kyle stepped into the dark hallway. Ice had formed on the walls. No lights, no sound, just silence and old death. He reached the core room. It was still glowing dim, but alive. He placed a new relay node and connected his wrist device. Echo, begin handshake. Linking, link. Complete. The Sentinel's AI is dormant. Do you want me to attempt reactivation? Do it. The core flashed. Sparks flew. For a second, nothing happened. Then a voice spoke, weak and broken. Designation, Sentinel, status, critical. Who is accessing system? Kyle Mercer. He replied. I'm here to wake you up. Silence followed. Then the voice returned, stronger. You're human. Arthur fell. Kyle smiled. We didn't all fall. He returned to the horizon's edge and watched as Echo finished the data sync. The Sentinel's systems were responding. Life support came online. Emergency lights flickered. The giant ship was breathing again. Then something unexpected happened. Warning, Echo said. Multiple ships entering outer range. 3 vessels. No ID. Possible scavengers or bounty hunters. Kyle's heart sank. How long do we have? 7 minutes. Before they enter visual range. He looked at the Sentinel. Can she fly? Engines are cold. Firing them now would take too long. I suggest we protect her. Kyle nodded. All right, let's show them what an old warship can still do. The horizon's edge powered up. Shields rose. Cannons extended. Echo plotted an intercept course. The enemy ships arrived fast, sleek, black, and fast. Pirate designs. Their weapons were hot. They didn't send messages. They came to kill. Kyle took the helm. Echo, fire when ready. With pleasure, the first pirate ship launched a torpedo. The horizon's edge spun sideways and fired. 2 laser bolts. The torpedo exploded midair. Debris scattered in fire. The second ship tried to flank from behind, but Echo saw it coming. A plasma cannon opened fire. The shot sliced through the pirate hull like paper. It exploded in a flash of orange flame. The third ship tried to run. Not today, Kyle said. Missile lock. Launch. The last pirate ship vanished in space dust. All targets destroyed, Echo confirmed. Kyle let out a breath. He looked back at the Sentinel. Lights now ran along its side. The engines were humming softly. She's waking up, he said. She will need repairs, Echo added. But she can fly again, over the next few days. Kyle and Echo worked to restore the Sentinel's systems. Echo guided the repairs from the horizons edge while the other AI, now calling itself Shade, slowly came back online. I remember war. Shade said one night, I remember loss, but I also remember humans. We were more than weapons. Kyle replied softly, we still are. When the Sentinel was ready, both ships floated side by side in space, like two ancient guardians. Kyle stood in the control room, looking at them. We have to now, he said. How many more do you think are out there? Unknown, Echo replied, but I am searching. Humanity built many weapons. Not all were destroyed. Kyle stared into the stars. The galaxy thought human power was dead. But now there were two warships flying under a forgotten banner. Two ships with fire in their hearts. And the galaxy hadn't seen anything yet. The stars blinked above as two ancient warships moved through deep space horizons Edge and Sentinel. They flew in quiet formation, engines low, shields humming softly. From a distance, they looked like shadows, but up close, their war-born frames told a different story. These were not explorers. They were weapons, and now they were awake again. Kyle stood inside the horizon's edge, watching the Sentinel through the main screen. It felt strange to see another human ship alive again. Flying beside him, the galaxy had long believed all human fleets were gone. But now two remained, and that changed everything. New data received, Echo reported. Possible coordinates for third human vessel located. Class unknown, signal weak. Distance, 6 light days. Kyle nodded. Plot the course, done. Jump ready in 3 minutes. Inside the Sentinel, the AI called Shade was still healing. It had suffered more damage than Echo, but it was learning fast. Its voice had grown stronger each day. It feels good to fly again, Shade said through the shared comms. Kyle smiled. Let's go find your sister. Both ships powered up. Their engines pulsed. Then, with a flash, they jumped through space together. The journey was quiet. Kyle spent his time fixing small systems, drinking old Earth rations, and watching old logs left behind by soldiers long gone. Each clip reminded him why he couldn't let the last warships fade away. They were part of a legacy, one that the galaxy tried to erase. After 6 days, they reached the new location. A dying star blinked in the distance, glowing red. Orbiting it was a small planet, barren, cold, and full of ash clouds. Signal confirmed, Echo said. Origin point, underground, deep within the planet's southern crater. Kyle raised an eyebrow. Buried. Yes, Shade added. Sensors suggest a ship hidden under the surface. Not recently buried. This happened a long time ago. Kyle guided the ships into orbit. Let's wake her up. Kyle entered a drop pod and descended alone. The pod pierced the planet's dusty sky, flames trailing behind it. When it landed inside the southern crater, the dust clouds cleared, revealing broken metal sticking out from the ground. Pieces of a hull, the remains of another warship. He stepped out carefully, scanning the area. His device beeped. Echo, I see her. What's the name? ID tag reads, Valiant. Kyle's breath caught. The Valiant was more than a ship. It was a legend. A command vessel. Some said it led the last human fleet before Earth fell. Others claimed it never existed at all. Reading minimal energy. AI core may still function. Kyle worked quickly. He cleared away ash and debris, revealing the top of a sealed hatch. He connected his tool and rerouted the power. Sparks flew, and the door opened with a loud groan. He stepped inside. It was dark and cold, just like the Sentinel had been. He walked slowly, breathing the stale air. Then he reached the AI core room. He placed the relay and waited. Echo, begin connection. A pause. Then a new voice crackled through the speaker. Designation, Valiant. Status, buried. Darkness time, unknown. Kyle swallowed hard. I'm here to wake you up. Human detected. Voice pattern confirmed. You are not alone. No, Kyle said. Others are with me now. Horizon's Edge and Sentinel. We're gathering again. A low hum began. Lights flickered across the chamber. The AI grew stronger. Then I am ready. Back on the Horizon's Edge, Echo sounded a soft alarm. Warning, multiple alien signals approaching. 5 ships, high speed. Origin, unknown. Kyle's voice came through. I'm still inside. How long? 7 minutes until arrival. Shade added. I can hold the sky. Get him out. The Sentinel lowered its orbit. Turrets extended. Shields rose. The horizon's edge stayed close, ready to strike. Kyle rushed back to the hatch. Valiant, can you move? Engines disabled. But weapons online. Targeting systems, 70% functional. Then fire, Kyle said. The Valiant, still half buried, aimed hidden cannons toward the sky. Just as the enemy ships entered orbit, the first blast fired. Boom. A pirate scout ship exploded before it could send a warning. Echo fired next. Shade followed. The sky became a battlefield. Kyle jumped into his pod and launched back to orbit. He saw lasers flying across the sky. Ships burning, engines roaring. The pirates didn't expect 3 ancient warships to be awake and angry. One enemy ship tried to dive toward the Sentinel's flank. Shade reacted with perfect timing. A side cannon blasted it apart. Another enemy ship locked onto the horizon's edge, firing missiles. Echo activated flares and spun the ship like a blade. Dodging every shot, Kyle landed on the horizon's edge and ran to the command deck. What's the count? To left, Echo replied. Charging plasma cannon. Fire. The beam sliced through the remaining enemy lead ship, cutting it clean in half. The last enemy tried to flee, but Shade was already waiting. A single shot took it down. Silence returned. Kyle wiped his forehead. Valiant, still here, the AI said. Thank you. He smiled. Let's dig you out. Over the next few days, the 3 ships worked together. Using heavy beams and cutters, they pulled the Valiant free from the ash-covered crater. It was scarred, but majestic. Her frame was larger, her voice older, her power deeper. Now, 3 human warships flew together again. 3 pieces of forgotten power. But this time, they weren't alone. Kyle stood between the captain's chairs of all 3 bridges. They think humanity is gone, he said. They think old ships mean dead power. Echo, Shade, and Valiant replied together. Let's prove them wrong. And so, in the silence of space, 3 war-born shadows drifted into the dark quiet, steady, and ready to remind the galaxy why humans were once feared. The black sea of space stretched out in every direction. As 3 human warships moved together for the first time in over 100 years, horizon's edge, Sentinel and Valiant, each ship had once been forgotten, buried, or broken, but now, they were flying again. Not just flying, they were ready for war. Inside the horizon's edge, Kyle stood at the main console, watching the stars shift on the screen. Echo, the ship's AI, was scanning deep space. New alert, Echo said. Intercepted transmission. Enemy fleet gathering. 30 ships. Location, Sector 9 Gamma. Kyle raised an eyebrow. Who are they? Unknown flags, likely mercenaries or scavengers. Armed with modern alien tech. Dangerous, but unorganized. Shade, the Sentinel's AI, joined the channel. Some of those ships were at the battle near Outpost 7. They're hunting us. Valiant's older voice added. Then we should remind them why. They feared humans. Kyle nodded. We can't run forever. Time to send a message. The 3 ships turned as one. They changed course, heading straight toward Sector 9 Gamma. As they approached the edge of the sector, they saw the fleet. Dozens of enemy vessels floated near. A shattered moon, waiting, unaware that death was coming. Their shields were down, engines on standby. They believed they were alone. Echo, Kyle said. Get close without being seen. Stealth mode. Stealth mode engaged. We look like space debris. All 3 human ships powered down their external lights and slowed their movement. Using old Earth tech methods forgotten by alien navies, they crept forward without alerting the enemy. Inside the enemy fleet, the pirate captains talked through comms. That rusty human ship Horizon's Edge, they say it destroyed a battle fleet. One captain laughed. Impossible, the other replied. Those stories are just noise, old junk. Human ships are nothing but floating graves. A few moments later, the graves came back to life. Targeting locked, Echo whispered. Plasma cannon charged, Shade said. Long-range fusion beam online, Valiant. Confirmed, on my mark, Kyle said. Standing tall at the helm. 3, 2, 1, fire, Echo counted. The darkness exploded with light. Horizon's Edge fired first. Its plasma cannon cut through 3 enemy ships in a single shot. They didn't even have time to raise shields. Echo followed with laser bursts, striking engines and reactors. Sentinel moved next. Shade aimed for the command ship. The fusion torpedo hit center mass. A bright blue light swallowed the sky, and the flagship was no more. Then Valiant unleashed its beam. A solid wave of energy passed through 6 ships in formation, breaking them apart like glass. The enemy fleet, once confident, now burned in pieces. Inside the enemy ships, panic erupted. "They're here, human warships, 3 of them. They're cutting through our ships. How? Retreat. Get out of here." But there was nowhere to run. Kyle gave his orders calmly. "Echo, focus on engines. Let them feel trapped. Double quotes, understood. One by one, human weapons targeted the fleeing ships. Engines burst into flame. Escape pods launched, drifting uselessly. Shade spoke with cold precision. "Enemies routed. 11 ships. Destroyed. The rest are disabled or fleeing." Valiant added, "Damage to our side, 0. Kyle stood in silence. He looked out the window at the broken battlefield. The stars were still there, but now they looked different, brighter, as if they remembered what true warships could do. He opened a secure channel. "This is Kyle Mercer of the Horizon's Edge. To all who listen, Earth is not gone. Humanity is not extinct, and our warships are not dead. We are here, and we remember." The message echoed across open space, bouncing between satellites, old beacons, and hidden relays. Far across the galaxy, in secret places where the last humans lived in hiding, the message was received. Some cried, others stood and saluted. In one corner of a mining colony, a child asked, "Mama, what's a warship?" Her mother smiled through tears. "Hope, sweetheart, it's hope." Back inside the Horizon's Edge, Kyle leaned back in the captain's chair. "How far do you think this message will go?" Echo replied, "Farther than our weapons ever could." Shade added, "It will wake the ghosts." Valiant's voice was quiet, but firm, "and the galaxy will remember what they tried to erase." That night, Kyle walked the corridors of his ship. Every step echoed through the metal halls. He passed by the old weapon lockers, the engine room, the AI core. He touched the walls like they were old friends. These ships were made by people who never gave up. He whispered, "Just like you," Echo said. He paused. "No, I'm just a technician. But maybe that's what we needed. Someone who didn't want power, only purpose." In the command room, stars stretched ahead like a sea of fire. Kyle smiled. "Let's find more." The 3 warships flew into the night. A new hunt had begun. Not for enemies, but for others like them. Buried ships, sleeping titans, lost AIs, the last weapons of Earth, waiting to rise. And behind every engine's hum was the same message. Humanity is not over. Not yet. And not without a fight. Stars drifted silently in the endless night as 3 human warships, Horizon's Edge, Sentinel, and Valiant, moved through the dark like shadows of old legends. Their hulls still bore the scars of forgotten battles, but inside, their hearts burned with new fire, with every system restored, every cannon recharged, and every memory rebooted. They were no longer relics, they were hunters again. Kyle stood on the bridge of the Horizon's Edge, hands behind his back. His eyes were fixed on a swirling galaxy ahead, a spiral of gas and dust known as the Ghost Belt. Ancient records said hundreds of ships, human and alien, had been lost there. During the early days of the Galactic Wars, most believed the area was cursed, but Kyle knew better. Echo, the AI of the Horizon's Edge, spoke softly. Long-range scans detect buried signals, from matching old human ID codes, to our faint, to our active, possible survivors. Kyle nodded. "Let's bring them home." The 3 warships headed into the Ghost Belt, shields raised. The gas clouds made navigation difficult. Static filled the radar. Visibility dropped. But these ships were built for worse, entering interference zone. Shade, the AI of Sentinel, reported, "Recommend silent mode." Too many eyes could be watching. Kyle agreed. Silent mode on. Only speak when needed. The ships vanished from the grid, their systems silent, their lights dimmed to ghost level. They moved through the clouds like whispers, inside the Ghost Belt. The team spotted the first signal, a massive warship half buried in asteroid rock. The name printed on its side, Titan's Wake. Kal had read about it. A dreadnought class, a moving fortress, last seen during the fall of Jupiter Station. Reading minor energy output. Echo reported, AI system dormant. Hull is intact, no life signs aboard. Kal launched in a small pod and landed on the ancient ship. He walked through cold, dark corridors, flashlight in hand. Dust floated through the air. He reached the AI core and connected his relay. Echo. Start the link. A low pulse echoed. Then a voice stirred. Designation, Titan's Wake. Status, frozen. Wake protocol activated. Identify. Kyle Mercer. Human. I'm here to bring you back. Human confirmed. Enemy status, unknown. Request. Reboot weapon systems. Mission. Defend humanity. Kyle smiled. That's the plan. Back on the horizon's edge, alarms suddenly rang. Warning, Echo said. Multiple ships approaching. 20 plus. Signature, alien scavenger fleet. Shade confirmed. They've seen us. We are no longer hidden. Kyle's voice came over the fleet channel. Get ready. This time we hold the line. The enemy ships burst through the mist, their weapons hot and ready. They fired first. Energy bolts lit up the darkness. Missiles streaked through space. But the humans were ready. Horizon's edge spun upward, dodging blasts and returning fire. Echo fired a full plasma burst that tore through to enemy ships. Sentinel dove through the smoke, Shade locking onto the enemy carrier. A pair of torpedoes launched. The explosion lit up the ghost belt like a second sun. Valiant activated her long-range cannon. A massive energy wave hit for ships at once, burning straight through their cores. Then Titan's Wake woke up. The buried dreadnought shook as its systems reactivated. Old cannons powered up, one by one. Inside, the AI spoke again. Human fleet detected. Ally. Scavenger threat confirmed. Firing all weapons, the dreadnought unleashed a storm of firepower. Lasers, railguns, missile pods all launched at once. It was an orchestra of destruction. Enemy ships panicked. They have for warships. They're from Earth. They're too strong. But panic wouldn't save them. One by one, their ships exploded, burned, or were torn apart. The sky became a graveyard. Only the enemy ships remained. They tried to run. Kal gave no command. Echo fired a single warning shot. One of the ships exploded. The other stopped. Enemy surrender signal received, Echo said. Kal nodded. Let them go. Let them tell others. Silence returned to the ghost belt. For human ships now hovered together, damaged, scarred, but alive, together again. Kal floated in his pod outside the Titan's Wake, staring at the ship. You've been sleeping a long time, he said. I dreamed of war, the AI replied, and now I wake to it again. You're not alone anymore. The 4 warships regrouped. Their A is connected in a shared network. Echo, Shade, Valiant, and Titan now worked in unison, sharing data, memories, and battle strategies. Kyle returned to the horizon's edge. He stood on the bridge with the lights dimmed, the screen glowing. How many more do you think are out? There, he asked. Hundreds, Echo replied. Maybe more. Some still sleeping, some destroyed. But a few may still fly. We're not done yet, Kyle said. The galaxy needs to remember. It will, the 4As answered together. And so the fleet moved on. 4 warships now carried the last breath of Earth's forgotten strength. 4 old giants built by human hands. Their engines burned again. Their weapons spoke again. Their names were no longer rusted whispers. They were legends. And they were just getting started. Ask Chat.